school administrator, a district trainer, program director, and in higher education as a professor of special education, assessment, early childhood, and teacher education. You see why we love him. He has so much knowledge. He has several published articles and presents local, state, national, and internationally. He continues to work with various countries in the area of education and special education, which includes Mexico, Hong Kong, Canada, of course, Vietnam, and across the United States. So we love what he does. We love that he's here, and let's give him more welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Layne.
Hey,
Pick it up.
I'm telling you, I love the, I always get the lunch crowd. Always. They're like, Layne, you want to present? Sure. When do I present? After they've eaten. Great. It's the best time ever. So it's really weird to hear people read about my life, but I will tell you some snippets on my life that'll help you guys out as parents. This university thing, there's a lot of universities that have a lot of openings and access for your children, no matter the disability. I served on the ADA. I gotta go this way more. You got an X somewhere? Because you know
I think we're trying to give you a range.
Does that thing move?
See, now she's cutting you out.
Oh, yeah, leave me alone. So when you go to university, I served on the ADA boards for the 3 universities I worked at. And we opened up classes for kids of all levels of disability just to come and get access and credit, and just to be able to sit and even just to come in to see what college is like. And so please ask colleges. Here's the kicker though. Your children have to have some self-advocacy skills, because once they turn 18, if you haven't done the guardianship thing, it's all up to them to ask. And so that's just a caveat I give you on this. We got a lot of students in, and the parents are still talking for them. We're like, Mom, Dad, we love you and all. We can't listen to you. We got to hear it from your child. If they can't self-advocate, then they're not going to work here. And it kind of made some parents mad, but I told them, that's one of the biggest pieces. I'm going to be honest with you, academics are not my priority with our kids in school. Self-advocacy, self-regulation, and how I do my social emotional life. The brain research is out there. Do you know the formula for success for all of us human beings, regardless of disability? It's an 80-20 rule. 80% of our success comes from social emotional skills. 20% comes from academics. So here's some things. Your child may not be getting best grades, might have modified content, still don't care. In my mind, you get that 80% in, their life is good. But the problem is we don't always look at that side of it. Coping skills, self-regulation skills, all that fun stuff. And that's what I want parents to understand. Get those skills in place. They call them the soft skills. I disagree. Those are the hard and fast skills they need to have. Because you can be the smartest person in the world, but dumb as rocks in real life. You ever meet these people? They got like 90 PhDs behind their names, valedictorian 10 times over, and yet they can't tie their shoes when they leave the house. They don't know how to catch a bus. They don't know how to do anything to survive. That's the thing that's what I want parents to understand. So, am I clicking something to change these things?
I'm here for you.
It doesn't matter. Just do I wave my hand and it goes?
You're going to be a magician.
So our ultimate goal, I tell people, is welcome to adulthood. This is it. I taught pre-K and K. 29 years ago, I started in this profession. 29. I'm almost at 30 years. Still going. I plan on putting in about 50, so we'll see what happens. But I started teaching pre-K and K 29 years ago. 35 4- and 5-year-olds in one room. Picture it. But here's the thing. I looked at every one of them and wondered where they're going to be 15 years from now. What do I have to do for you right now to get foundations put into place so you're ready for the real world? It's not all about academics either. And that's as parents right now, no matter how old your child is, where are they going to be if they were on their own at age 21? Regardless if they are or not, I always tell parents, your child may be a child that has to stay at home the rest of their life, but picture them as someone who's going to leave at 21. What are they lacking right now, and what do we need to do? And get busy. They have every right to have those skills in place, regardless how severe the disability might be. They have every right to live a human life as best as possible that they can get. And so that's kind of where I sit, how I talk, what I do. Go ahead, yeah. Who do I point to change it?
Do you want the power?
You really want me to have the power? All right, I'll try.
Well, you get powerful woman, Layne.
But it's got buttons. I'm just gonna start pushing buttons. So I tell people, my time with you today is to kind of give you some things as parents, as educators, to start looking at with our kids that isn't necessarily academic focused, program focused, guardianship focused, all the stuff we got to do for transition. This is stuff that actually has to be in place that sometimes we don't talk a lot about. Goals and happiness. How many of you had the big conversation with your kids about being happy the rest of their life? Have you had a big conversation? Because you know what? Don't care what you put in place for them. If they're not happy, their life is not good. And so we're going to take a look at these two areas. My thing, though, is a healthy brain and a happy life. And a healthy brain and a happy life, what you need to have is you need to have things in your life to keep your brain going. And parents, I'm big on brain research. We've been doing brain research in different countries now for several years. There's a lot of brain research out there. I need you guys right now to take care of your kids' brains, lots of play, lots of nature, and lots of socialization. You realize I just read an article about 2 weeks ago. They now say that socialization is one of the best preventative measures for dementia for all of us. The more you socialize, the better you socialize, it actually offsets dementia. It's actually one of the preventative things we have. I'm an introvert, I'm in trouble. But that's the reality of it though. So things like that, play, nature, talking, the more they play, the more they're outside, and the more they talk, the stronger their brains are gonna be. So think about kids right now. How much are they getting to play? How much are they outside? How much are they interacting with other people? I work in the autism world. Lord have mercy. Oh, they're not social. Yeah, they are if you let them. The reason why most of them aren't social is because we got so many constraints on them going through programs, we don't let them be social. Oh my God, what if he freaks out when someone says hi? Then he freaks out when someone says hi, and I get to see a good show with the person that he says hi to. I mean, I tell people, if you're worried about things looking weird, go spend 20 minutes in Walmart. You'll feel better. Seriously. Oh my God, but Layne, what if my son does this and it embarrasses us? I'm like, go to Walmart for 10 minutes. You have no embarrassment left in your life. You see people in slippers and pajama pants rolling on the floors, and it's like, you got it. It's okay. It's all perspective. And so I tell people goals and happiness are the big thing. So I debated whether I should put this video in here or not, because my big thing is all of our kids have to have purpose. That is the only thing that drives humans to go through life is purpose. And it is regardless of disability. It is regardless of who I am, where I am, how I'm brought up, who brought me up, where I got brought up. I have to have purpose. It is the number one thing human brains continually seek through their life process to the day you die. And so I tell people, everybody serves a purpose, but we got to help them find it. And are we helping our kids find their purpose? And so this particular video is kind of long, but I thought instead of me talking the whole time, it's a great thing for you guys to watch and your after lunch crowd. And so why not? And I don't know, Jim, can you click? There should be a play button. There we go.
We have a family-owned security company. My dad started it in 1981.
Like most.
Or did I touch something I wasn't supposed to?
No, I did.
Oh, you freaked me out because I was touching something over here.
We have a family-owned security company. My dad started it in 1981.
Like most folks born and raised in Del Rio, Texas, Russell Stidham knows this border city like the back of his hand.
My work takes me all over the city. And it seemed like for years, everywhere I would go, I kept seeing this guy. I didn't know his name. I didn't know anything about him. I just would see him every day, pushing a lawnmower down the side of the road with a bunch of carts behind it. Whenever I first saw Cheeto, I probably did what a lot of people did initially, and that was just to kind of dismiss him as maybe a homeless person or a vagrant, or I didn't know what he was, you know. But I realized that there was something special about him. He cannot talk. He's been disabled his entire life.
They call him Cheeto. And for more than a decade, this man and his long train of tattered tools has been a fixture along the highways and side streets of Del Rio. You'd be hard-pressed to find a patch of grass or weeds that Cheeto has not mowed in this town. He is an uncomplicated man whose twisted limbs make even the simplest of motions painful. But in spite of his disabilities, Cheeto has become a one-man landscape crew at all hours of the day and night. And he does it with no compensation at all.
Cheeto! You got everything you need? Nobody is paying him to do this right now. He does it for free. If he sees grass around town that needs cutting, he cuts it.
And he'll just do this for hours on end?
Hours on end, all day long. I mean, on the hottest of days. I mean, in the middle of summer, he'll be out here doing it. It seems crazy to us, but it makes perfect sense to him. He started doing it for free just to prove to people that he could do it. And then it got to where he got paying customers, you know, and so now he has customers all over town that pay him.
But this here in the median
all
is
this
not.
that you see right here that he mows in the median is the highway department's responsibility.
He doesn't
to
get
maintain.
paid for that.
He didn't get paid a dime. He does this sometimes all night long he'll work.
Since Russell first spotted Cheeto working several years ago, he's become a close friend, an advocate for Del Rio's volunteer landscape master. Cheeto does have a few paying customers, but when those lawns are finished, he cuts up and down the highway, anywhere grass and weeds dare to look up. It's a daunting task, but Cheeto has a whole town looking out for him.
Nobody works out like Cheeto.
I mean, I see him in the middle of the night, in the afternoon. I see him at all hours of the day. It's crazy.
Cold, rain, everything. Cheeto sat there.
Do you take a break? Get a drink? No?
I tried to buy Cheeto at lunch a few times, and he always tells me, no, I'm okay.
Eat? No.
You don't stop.
And you know what? He always has a smile.
A lot of guys would take that cardboard, make a sign begging for money, but no, not him. He takes it, puts it in his cart, and he's going to put it where it belongs in the trash.
Everybody nowadays knows him as Cheeto, but his actual name is Jose Angel Martirina, and he's a good man, and I'm proud to have him as a friend.
But this isn't just a story about a guy who mows grass for free. This is a story about how that guy inspired this community to set the course for doing right.
Our city and our Chamber of Commerce as well ended up creating a new campaign called Del Rio Doing Right. And they said it's going to be an annual award that we're going to give to somebody. And they said they wanted Cheeto to be the first recipient of this award.
Did you get to give it to him?
I did. They asked if I would tell his story and present him with the award, and it was a tremendous honor.
I guess he's coming over to say hello.
No, he just saw another piece of trash.
Of all the folks in Del Rio who support Cheeto, it's Russell who has broken the barriers of culture and communication with his special friend. Even so, there are times when Cheeto is in need, and even those closest to him struggle in the absence of the spoken word.
What's the matter? You hurt yourself? As long as I've known Cheeto, it still can be frustrating at times to figure out exactly what he needs. Yeah, you may have a heat exhaustion, bud, and I know he's got to be frustrated. Okay, how you doing?
Cheeto, you all right? Did you get hit?
No, He didn't like those shoes he had on.
Who saw this? Did you call it in?
No, nobody called it in. I mean, unless somebody just driving by.
Yeah, somebody said.
Yeah, no, he was
down there concerned for him.
Obviously, somebody must have seen Cheeto down in the median there and called the police and called for help because they were concerned about it. Here, bud, you want some water?
It doesn't take long before this beloved figure of an entire city is surrounded by first responders. As it turns out, Cheeto just wants help changing his shoes.
No, we're just glad he's safe, he's not hurt, and he's not injured. It's the most important thing.
Well, thank you, guys. Russell, Stidham.
Val, nice to meet you.
Val, nice meeting you. See you later.
Okay.
Y'all take care. Okay. People look out for Cheeto. They keep their eye out for him and want to make sure that he's okay. And if he's got a problem, word's going to get out real quick and somebody's going to come to his aid.
The one thing that slows Cheeto down is the occasional flat tire. Makes no mind though, the guys at the tire shop work fast to get him back out working again. It gives us a chance to ask the one question everyone wonders.
Why do you do it? In your heart?
God has placed a desire in his heart.
You have a good heart, Cheeto.
It's hard not to be emotional.
You have a good heart.
I think what he's trying to tell you, Kelly, is his dad passed away and he does his best to take care of his mom. And he is the breadwinner of their family.
It's all you.
That's right. That's right.
Is that hard?
It's been very hard. Cheeto was called to cut grass. And Martin Luther King said it best. He said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets just as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven played music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth should say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. And I believe Cheeto has done that. He's done the very best with what God has given him.
Everybody ready here? Big smiles, come on.
If you find yourself in Del Rio, Texas, look for the flags, the orange cones, and the wagons strung out along the pavement. And you're bound to see a man called Cheeto. Watch him for a while, and you'll understand why, even though his bent and twisted body is barely 5 feet tall, Cheeto is a man who many in these parts look up to.
Every time I see Cheeto, I never miss an opportunity to tell him not to work too hard or stay out too late. But I know I'm just wasting my time. The world needs more people like Cheeto.
So, Cheeto. And purpose. You see Cheeto's purpose. And it isn't just mowing grass, is it? Cheeto went out there and just by finding what he's good at and what he does, he changed a whole community. And that's what I want for all of our kids. They all have purpose. Are we finding it? And it doesn't mean they get good grades all the time. It's not all wrapped up in everything they do. What is their purpose? Your children and the kids you work with have a bigger purpose than we all know about right now. You don't know what they're going to do with their lives. You just better get stuff in place to get it ready. And part of that is setting goals. And so I have taken what I reprised. I did some work at Texas Tech at the Burkhardt Center the last few months. And I worked with their students who are 19 to 27, all with developmental disabilities, trying to figure out how to leave school and go to the world. And working with them taught me a bunch. The one thing they did tell me, I even asked, I said, I'm going to go talk to teachers and parents at a conference in a couple of weeks. What should I pass along to them? You know what they pretty much all said? Listen to us, even if we don't talk. It's kind of powerful, isn't it? Well, a lot of us think we know what's best, but sometimes we don't, and we don't include our kids in their goals. And so I took them through this activity. It was phenomenal with these 19 to 27-year-old students with disabilities. They all had developmental disabilities. Majority autism, someone with Down syndrome, a few with other different types of disabilities, intellectual disabilities. But we took them through this activity, and I'm going to share it with you guys because it's something you can do with your kids at home. It's something you can do with yourself to look at your goals. But it's something that when we get ready to take our kids out in the real world, that big transition to the real world, what are they going to do? And how do they know that they're doing it the way they need to? And so we call it the circle of life. It's nothing new. It's been around for a while, but this little circle of life has 8 sections in it. And these are kind of the 8 big aspects of our life. Play and fun, significant others, spiritual, career, business, financial, friends, family, health and fitness, and my personal development. And what we do is, it's a simple activity. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because you got a copy of this, you may have it already. But what it is how do we start looking at our kids and their lives as a whole and where their goals are? And where are they not focusing versus where are they focusing too much? Or maybe just what's their balance in life? And so what it is I gave them all a blank circle and they labeled it where we labeled it for them about the different areas. And then what it is we just said, picture yourself standing in the middle of that circle. And if you had to look around that circle on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate those areas of your life? 1 being you don't have any time for it or don't give any time to it. 10 being you give it a huge part of your lifetime to it. It's where you focus a lot of your time with. And so it's just this kind of thing. There's questions here to look at. You know, is it your career? Is it financial? Is it friends and family? Is it fun and play? Where is your focus? And you can have a 10 in every circle. If you have a massive amount of focus in every part of that circle, then put a 10. Because what it is just looking at how you're sectioning out your life. And it's interesting because it helps our kids look at where I need to look at more goals possibly. Where do I focus maybe too much? And where can I back off and adjust and give more time somewhere else? And so it's a simple activity. And I thought, you know, for the transition and everything we're talking about today, I thought, why not give it to you guys and you guys can use it. We've modified it for some of our students. Some of our students, we only went down to like 4 parts of a circle. And we looked at the 4 big areas depending on their life and their abilities or whatever else. But you can modify it for anybody. We've even had adults do this to see where their lives are, adults who struggle. And so there's a lot of things to look at with this, but these are just some things you can do to go through it. And I put it in here because you want to, what patterns are you seeing? What's the impact it's having on you? Like, how is your life right now? We had our kids do this. They rated 1 to 10, each part of their pie. And we said, well, how do you feel about life right now? And be honest. Most of them said, I feel pretty good, but there are a couple like, I don't like where I'm at right now. Well, let's look at where you got all your focus on. Can we readjust your focus and set goals to focus in other parts of your life to maybe make things a bit better? Because one of the kids I worked with, he was not doing well. He's 23. He tried to have a girlfriend. It didn't go so well. And he's just been fixated. He put like 11 on the significant other thing. And everywhere else was like 1 or 2. And I said, well, let's look at your circle. And he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, what do you think? He goes, well, I'm really struggling because I can't get my girlfriend, or I lost my girlfriend and no one wants to be my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, but look at where all your focus is going and everything else is suffering. Now, it's important you have a significant other. If it's that important to you, then yes, but we'll teach you what some goals we need to have here. Why is the focus so much here? Let's put some goals in place for how you interact with women. And he needed some goals. But then where else do we need? Where do you feel stressed? Well, I feel stressed with my money because I don't know how to use my money. All right, let's put some goals in the financial side of it then. And he says, well, I don't really do much but sit in my room and play video games. Big problem, why you don't have a girlfriend. So we put things in there on how to back off on some of that and readjust. You see how we use the circle to help them plan out different parts of their lives and different goals. And it really helps them see, too, where they put all their focus in. Because a lot of times we had some kids do it. They're like, man, I didn't realize that I don't really pay any attention to health and fitness. Like, I don't even think about doing anything for my health or fitness. I've never thought about how I eat or that I don't exercise. And the one boy, he's probably about 300 pounds. And he walks up, he goes, is this why I don't feel good all the time? And I'm like, well, it might be. So let's look at some health and fitness goals. But that's to say, he never thought of it until we had him look at it like this. So I thought I'd put this in here, especially for parents. Use it at home with your kids. Take a look at it. You can use it with anybody. But then what we did is they planned goals, they put goals into place, and then they found an accountability partner, a good friend. Hey, these are my goals. You need to hold me accountable for getting them done. Because I said, here's the thing, we all want a diet. We all kind of stink at it unless we have someone badgering us and holding us accountable for things. We all want to get better with something, but we don't get there unless someone's there with us saying, hey, come on, let's go. Hey, you said you wanted to do this. Why are you not doing this? Oh, yeah. It kind of makes you feel bad at first, but that's the person you need to say, hey, let's get going. And so part of it is teaching them how to be social and find that accountability friend also. And who would be a good accountability person? Not the kid who sits beside you and plays video games for 25 hours. That's not the accountability friend you need, because he's gonna be like, just play. And so he actually got his sister, because he says, my sister nags me all the time that I'm a couch potato. Then your sister's your accountability person. So it's interesting because that's where we're setting their goals and assessing their life as a whole. Because these are part of your life that bring and create the happiness you need in life. And people say, the one guy goes, what about spirituality? What is that? Anything you believe in that's a higher form than you. It doesn't have to be religion. It can be nature. You can believe in like Mother Nature and the power of nature and everything else. It's something that's bigger than you. And I'll be honest right now, all in society, we're lacking that across society as a whole. Because everybody's all about what? Me. Our whole society needs more that there's something bigger than us. Because if you don't have it, we actually get very self-centered and egotistical. And that's actually one of the biggest things that causes egotism, is that you don't believe anything's more powerful than you. And so that's a big thing too. And so these are just some things. So I thought, for parents in here, people, what do you think of something like this? Is it something that it's really easy to use and you have great conversations with it? So it's just something I thought I'd share with you all. It helps them with finding their purpose too. What is my purpose in my life? Where do I have my greatest purpose? And I always told him, I told my one guy who played video games like all day long, it's not that video games are bad, but not all day long. You're missing out on other aspects of your life, and what are they? Some of you may have other teenagers in your home. Most teenagers need to go through this. This should be part of school curriculum at this point. Because most of our teenagers, I may be a straight A student, but I have no goals and I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I don't know where I'm going. Because we equate in our society that if you have good grades, you're automatically going to be successful. And that is the biggest load of garbage that we have fed people in decades. That's not how that works. It never has. And so these are different ways to look at your goals. You can look at whatever balance works for you. Maybe right now in life, you don't have time for significant other. That's fine. It could be a 0. Just don't have time for it. It's not affecting you because your focus on the other areas is what you need. Does it kind of make sense? And it's kind of figure out where your life is and where do I got to set some goals to get my life to a better place, to find my purpose. So it's all about the why and rather than what. We all know what we want to do. I want to go get a job. I want to be successful. I want to be able to be as independent as possible. I know what I'm supposed to do, but why am I doing it? We ever thought about that with our kids? Why do you want to be independent? Parents, have you told your kids why they need to be independent? Yes, I want you to be independent. Why? Because when I come home, you do everything for me. I have parents like that. You do everything for me. I get you want me to be independent. Yay! But I'm not going to do it. You realize to be independent, we all have to struggle. Right? Your kids have to struggle. There's going to be low points in their lives. They have to have them. If they don't, you're lying to them. There isn't a person in this room that hasn't had a low point in their life at least once, correct? What do you do when you get low points? You have to problem solve and figure out where you got to go with life, and you got to get yourself up and out of it. But if someone's always doing it for you, what don't you ever learn? How to do it yourself. And I will be honest right now, it isn't just in with our kids with disabilities right now, it's across the board right now. Our society is digging our kids out of trouble left, right, and center, and they're not letting them be uncomfortable for a while with what they're doing and the decisions they're making. They have to be uncomfortable. They will never be successful in life if they don't know how to be uncomfortable and get themselves out of it. It's not going to work. And that's some of the things too. I'm a parent. I'm a twice parent. That's what I got called the other day. Hey, you're a twice parent. I'm like, okay. I was a single dad, raised my 2 kids. They're now 26 and 27. I got remarried during the pandemic, because what else are you going to do during a pandemic? And I inherited 3 step boys, 4, 10, and 16.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you want to know the gambit of developmental? I got them in my house. That's where I actually came from. I'm coaching the 3 and 4-year-old soccer team. God have mercy. You ever see 3 and 4-year-olds play soccer? Herd ball. They just follow the ball. And then I got one boy who, he's on a breakaway, he's about to score a goal, stops and picks a flower and brings it here. And I'm like, oh, get the goal. But that's just it. And I tell people I get to start over, and it's been really pretty cool. When my kids were being brought up, way different than it is now.
Oh, yeah.
It is harder now than it was when I had my son and daughter by myself. Because now there's these entitlement issues we got with kids that is driving me insane. I make my poor stepkids flail, and it about kills them. I send the oldest one fetal half the time. Like, he's like, oh my God. I'm like, you'll live through it. Work it out. You'll work it out. Figure it out. But I just, nope, figure it out. And it just kills them. I now have a brother-in-law who is on the spectrum. He is 25. Ooh. We inherit him when, God forbid, something happens to my mother-in-law. And he is mine. And when I got him, he had no skill sets whatsoever. Smart. Oh my God, he's smart, but he did not have any life skills. He's got some now, much to his fighting and battling. I have set him off and made him melt down more than I can count, but I'm like, you are not going to come and not just do anything. You have a skill set that we need to tap into. And I've gotten him out in public. I actually made him pay for his own groceries last week. He's like, he had his debit card, and he's like, what do I do with this? I'm like, okay, you got a machine here. What do you think you do with it? And he's like tapping it on top. I'm like, nope, try again. And the checkout lady's like, I'm like, give him a minute. First time. So, you know, my mother was like, my God. And I'm like, oh, then I said, go wait in the car. I got this. And he's like, what do I do? I don't know. He's getting mad. I'm like, calm yourself down first off. You're not going to pay for anything when you're freaking out. But this is so hard. I'm like, figure it out. I said, there's a chip in that card. It's got to go in somewhere. And he's like, oh, and he stuck it in there. And he's like, all right, I paid. I'm like, nope. It was a PIN number. He's like, oh. I'm like, you better hope you remember your PIN number. You're not going to get groceries. It was a chore. It was fun. He got groceries. He was good. I mean, it was great, but he was about ready to just come unglued. Like, he grabbed the machine, and I thought he was going to rip it off the whole thing. And I was like, relax, you're good. It's funny because he's never done that before, and he's 25. And it's like, yeah, you don't get to just not try this. Parents, don't be embarrassed. I'm going to tell you right now, please don't. If you need help, call me. I'll come do it with your kid. I really don't care what the rest of the world thinks. I'm the guy who's in a grocery store, and I got kids freaking out. I got my brother-in-law screaming and hollering and cursing because he loves to swear in the middle of Kroger. And I'm standing there, and you get the people walking by like, and all I got to say is, honey, finish your grocery list unless you want to help. I don't have time for you and your judgment. But that's just who I am, because I don't care. I don't care what other people think, because it's about what he needs to do. I don't care. And that's what we got to do. Why is he doing this? Because I want him to be independent. I want independence. I want you to be able to take care of yourself. You have every right in the world to do this. That's transition. That's, to me, transition. Where are they with their life? And so we got to know the why. One of my favorite videos to get this across is Michael Jr. Everybody ever hear Michael Jr.? Absolutely phenomenal guy. And so, if you don't mind pushing a play button somewhere on here. I don't have access with this. I microphone thing. I'm scared to touch buttons on here, so I'm gonna shut the thing down.
Me too.
How do I know? A lot of people, when they think of the phrase, how do I know, they always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The question that you really should ask is, how do I know why I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's, you know, it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm gonna show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, you know, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I see.
Okay, here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
And there it is. You know why you're doing something, it gives your what the purpose. I tell teachers all the time, you know what you're doing every day. You know why you're doing it. And if you're saying because of a test, or because of TEKS, or because of something else, wrong. It's because of kids. And when you keep kids and your own kids, you're doing this stuff for your kids. Why? Because you want your kids to have the best life they can possibly have. And it should impact how you look at things. There's a lot of things that you go through. There's a lot of things that, you know, right now we're dealing with Medicaid issues with my brother-in-law. If you want a nightmare and a half, deal with Medicaid. I mean, it was just an absolute bugger. We've had to submit so many forms and submit this and submit that and do this and do that and everything else. But at the same time, when you get frustrated, why am I doing this? Because there's a purpose. It's because I need my brother-in-law to have something accessible that's going to take care of him. Why we do what we do gives us the purpose. Teach your kids the same thing. Hey, do you know why you're doing this? Ask them that all the time. Even when they're doing dishes. Why are you doing dishes? Because you told me. No, why are you doing dishes? You told me to do dishes, it's my chore. Why? Do they understand why you have chores? What do chores do for us? What does doing the dishes do for you? It helps our family. And in this house, we're a family. We work together, we do things together. It helps us as a family so others don't have to always do it, and then we have more time together. There's why you do the dishes. We ever explain that to our kids that way? Teaching chores. It is responsibility, I get it, but it's not just responsibility. You realize chores actually build a sense of community within your family? That's what chores do. It isn't about responsibility, it's about that sense of community with your family members. But explain that to them. Tell them, why do you need to go get a job? Because you want to go and have a life where you can go do something independently. Do you have the money to do it? You know, you don't need to make a lot of money. Chito didn't make a lot of money, but look at him. He was happier than most human beings that walk the planet. That's the thing. We always think our kids have to have college degrees and high-paying jobs. No. I'm the one who will always holler, we got to quit telling the world every kid needs a college degree. You realize what would happen to our society if everybody had a college degree? We would implode. We wouldn't. Not to mention, most people with college degrees still don't make it more money than a plumber. I mean, we got things in there. There's things that our kids can do. There's other positions, there's other jobs, there's other things in the world that they can do that will make them happy and give them purpose. And so that's some of the things too. But the next thing I have is this, and I end with this, because this is the one thing that I think not only our kids need more of, but our world needs more of. Happiness is a lacking commodity in our society right now. We don't laugh anymore. We're not happy anymore. The one thing I will tell you right now, I go to our schools and it almost eats my soul. I don't see people laughing in our schools anymore, joking with kids, just smiling. Everybody's so god-awful serious. They're so far behind because of COVID. Oh my God, if I hear someone breathe that in my direction again, I'm gonna come unglued. The whole world struggled with COVID, not just Texas. Okay? Every kid in the world lost last year. So did we. It's not that they're behind, they're right where they need to be. Get them and go. How would you feel as kids walking into a school system this year when everyone has talked about you for the last month, about how far behind you are? You haven't even showed up. That's like me saying, hey, teachers, you suck. Haven't met you, but you suck. I just know it. You're just way behind where a teacher needs to be. You wouldn't want to even come work with me. But we've done that to our kids, all of our kids, correct? They're so far behind before COVID. Oh my God, no. The whole world lost out, not just Texas. And so happiness though, because that then pushes everybody's like, gotta catch up, gotta do more, and more. And we forget the fact that let us laugh, let us joke, let us smile, let us enjoy. Parents, let your kids enjoy. Let them laugh, joke with them. When things are serious, break the monotony. Just tell a bad dad joke. What did the nose say to the finger? Quit picking on me. See? Break it up. So you're like, that's gross. I love this John Lennon quote. I'll let you read it. So here it is. Some brain research, because that's just who I am. 8-to-1 is now the ratio. I need 8 positives to offset 1 negative. Used to be 5-to-1? Nope, 8-to-1. Parents in here, 8 positives to offset a negative for your kids.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. But here's the thing. It shouldn't be. We should be way more positive than we are negative. But when you look at our society, you look at everything going on, what do we see of? It's 8-to-1, probably in the opposite direction for most times. Turn off the news, number one. And just be with your kids. You can always go above the 8-to-1 ratio. You can go 20-to-1, it's even better for your kids. I'll be honest, it's not always easy. Being a twice dad now, there's times I'm like, oh my God, what are you thinking? I want to come unglued. One of the middle kid, he's like one of my favorite. He's just hilarious. He's that middle child syndrome. I'm like, boy, you're a drama. He loves drama, anything drama. And I'm like, he knows my look. He'd be like, uh-oh, you're not really happy, are you? I'm like, how can you tell? But it's fun because you got to offset it somehow. You can't always be positive because that's just weird on the other end. But you got to offset it. There should be way more positive with our kids than negative. Regardless, this is not a disability issue. This is a human being issue. And so this is something to look at. Positive versus negative, you can actually rewire your brain if someone does this for you. If I live in the negative, my brain actually rewires itself to look through a negative lens through life. And you realize most of our kids are there right now. There's a lot of our kids right now that have been rewired to look at the negative because that's more of what they've been dealing with. And the brain will actually rewire itself. It's a protective measure. But we can actually rewire it back if we change it around. And so surround yourself with people who will foster this ratio. I teach my kids, all the kids I work with, surround yourself by the people who are going to give you the 8-to-1 ratio. Don't be around the negative Nellies. You ever see those people? Oh my Lord. You want to give them a Prozac salt lick and calm down? Or I should have Prozac Sensi, plug that thing in, just take a sniff and relax. But it is, it's like you gotta be around people who are gonna foster this stuff. You know, unlike that friend on Facebook who is always negative and always putting bad things out there, blah, blah, blah. It's like, don't need you. Because it's actually not good, not just for your mental health, it actually affects your physical health too. And so there's some things to think about with your kids. Who do they surround themselves with? Who are their friends? And that's a big thing, parents. Know who your kids' friends are and know their personalities. Because still while they're with you, you can have some say of the negative people that they can drag along sometimes. You have to understand the effect that those negative people are going to have on them. The negativity around them every day, even other adults that are around them every day. How positive are the other adults? You got to look at that too. It isn't just their friends, it's everyone they interact with. When they get out in the real world and they're out around, where do they go? What do they surround themselves with? You know, things like that play a big factor in their mental health, which then affects their physical health. And so there's a lot of things with that, but this is basically what happiness is. State of mental, emotional, and physical well-being. That's happiness. And so, to achieve it, this is a cool diagram I found. Again, happiness is about finding your purpose. But look at all the things and how they interact to give you purpose. I thought it's a great visual to see purpose of happiness. You can see, you know, you love it, and the world needs it, becomes a mission. Or the world needs it, and you get paid for it, that's your vocation. You're paid for it, you're great at it, that's a profession. You're great at it and you love it, that's your passion. You find something that encompasses all of those, you got it made. But you can take sections of it too and still find purpose. That's why I like this diagram. It helps us see life. And so, true happiness, I like this part, leads to satisfaction in our lives. It's different than just having fun. Fun is really important to our happiness, but fun does not always equate happiness. Happiness is an overall thing. Fun is just a short-lived thing for us. And so when I'm not having fun, when I'm doing paperwork at work, which Pamela knows full well I'm not a fan of, how do I still stay happy? Because it's not fun, but I can still be happy. How do we do this? And so those are things to look at. True happiness. I like this picture. The kid who's got first is like, what? And the kid who's like, woo! That's my soccer team right there. So we're probably 5th. But boy, those kids, man, they had a ringer on the team today. Like, we were kind of neck and neck. It was 2-2, 3-2. And then the ringer showed up for the other team and scored like 20 goals in 2 quarters. My kids didn't care. We're like, woohoo! touch the ball. That's what I told them. It's not about winning or losing. Get out there and enjoy it. Have fun. And it's funny because the parents are freaking out. The kids are like, ah, off they go. But that's just it. How do you teach people that happiness? Even when it's tough. And so I love this. Happiness is what happens to you. It's what you make happen. Probably one of my favorite quotes. And so as I wrap up with you guys today, I just want you to think about purpose and happiness. They do go hand in hand, but are we finding purpose for our kids? You know, transitioning to real life isn't about just this program, those skill sets, this piece of paper, that piece of paper. It's about what's my purpose out here? And am I going to be happy with it? And so that's the thing we got to look at for our kids. Some final advice for a happy life I had to share. I like these. Everybody knows can't be all things to all people. Can't do all things at once. You can't do all things equally well. You can't do all things better than everyone else. And your humanity is showing all the time, just like everybody else's. So you have to find out who you are and be that. You have to decide what comes first, do that. You have to discover your strengths, use them. You have to learn not to compete with others because no one else is in the contest of being you. Then you'll have learned to accept your own uniqueness. You'll have learned to set priorities and make decisions. You'll have learned to live with your limitations. And you have learned to give yourself the respect that is due. And you'll be a vital part of this society. Notice on that last one, give yourself the respect that is due. I don't care about other people at this point. Biggest problem we have in society right now with our children, especially adolescents, they don't know who they are. They let everyone else dictate who they are. That's a bad path, which is why suicide rates are so high right now. Who are they? What can you do with what you have? Be okay with your limitations. I came to the hard and fast reality that basketball is never in my future. Figured that out in 4th grade and lived with it ever since. I haven't grown since 4th grade. That's a whole other thing. And dare to believe that you're a wonderful, unique person. You're a once-in-all history event. You're more than a right, or if that's more than a right, it's your duty to be who you are. Appearing normal is not a puzzle you have to solve. God, parents, quit. I'm going to tell parents right now in this room, there's no such thing as normal. Knock it off. I don't want my kid to look different. They are different. Why would you not want them to be different? Seriously. I've lived my life avoiding normal. Normal is boring and dull and really doesn't exist because what you think is normal, I think is just abnormal. What does it matter? Be you. And also, just quit trying to be someone else and just be who you are. We have a lot of kids trying to be someone else. I always tell kids, how do you know that the person next to you doesn't want to be just like you? But you're too busy trying to change to be someone different. That's not fair to them. I got that logic from the boy I worked with. He's 25, he's on the spectrum. He's like, I like me. People like me. Why would I change? And I'm like, fair enough. Not arguing with that logic. And I like that logic. And so this is what I got. Each and every one of us is a mystery and a miracle. What a shame it is to try and paint over that amazing you with the likeness of someone else.
I like that.
That's it. The world needs your kids, just as they are, just who they are. They just need them to have the skills to be as happy as they can be and have the purpose in life that they have to have. They don't need to be like anybody else. Everybody's like, but one parent she was really upset and bothered. She was crying and it sounds like, I'm usually a nice guy. But she was like, he'd never be valedictorian. I'm like, I wasn't valedictorian. I don't care. I mean, seriously, he's never gonna be an A student. I wasn't an A student. I failed stuff in high school. I had to retake things. And they're like, you did? I'm like, yes, I did. I said, has your son failed anything? No, then he's ahead of me. It's all right. It doesn't matter. And so what I leave you guys with is one last fun thing. I got to share with you Miguel. Miguel was one of my students. I taught him in kindergarten. As I left kindergarten, became a special ed teacher, I now had him on my caseload. Miguel was a trip. Miguel was nonverbal. Miguel had all kinds of stuff going on, like all kinds of stuff. But he was that kid that he never smiled. He was just that, Miguel, you want to eat? And so we started like working with him to give us some signs. And it was funny because we were always talking about your happy dance. Yeah, I'm having a happy dance. And so we'd dance around the class and stuff, and Miguel would be like, I was like, what is that? Well, we found out later that's his happy dance. Because we found out whenever we talked about happy dance, the other kids would get up and we put music on and just relax a bit. He'd be like, that's Miguel's happy dance. We took him to an 8th grade dance. All I gotta say on that one. We got him in the gym. Now, 8th grade isn't so bad. You ever seen 8th grade dance? All the boys look like they had autism. Standing along the wall. They're like nervous as all get up. Miguel walks in and the music starts playing. He's just like, and a girl comes over and says, Miguel, you want to dance? He's like, And she's like, what? I said, he's dancing. Dance with him. She's like, I don't get it. This is his dance. It's his happy dance. So she was just like, she stood there for like the 4-minute song. And he was like, you could finally see a smile crack on this kid's face. I'm like, Miguel! Nice! Way to pick up the girls at a dance, my friend. And so years later, like 2 years ago, this song that I'm going to show you came out. And it's the greatest thing. It's got a line in it. It's not about how you move, but what moves you. And we figured out what moves Miguel. He had a happy dance. Miguel, every time he was happy, would do this thing from there on out. Graduation, got him up across the stage. Oh my God. They called his name. He didn't go right away. We got him up like 8 kids later. And he walks across the stage. He was like, he's happy. People were like, why does he do that? I'm like, he's happy. And so, ladies, gentlemen, remember our kids' purpose and happiness. They're the big things that's going to get them where they need to go. 80-20 is the rule. I'm not saying academics and knowledge is not important, but the 80% is what we need to have in place for them to be successful. And so, get out there, help your kids, visit with them, talk to them, reconnect with them, and just help them along where they need the help. Happiness, purpose are the big ones. Because no matter how much school I get, no matter how much education I get, if I can't find a purpose, I don't have a life. And I don't get happiness either. And so I hope something I said helps you out a little bit today. I did it in an hour-ish. But it was a pleasure. Thank you all very much. And the best to you and your families with whatever you need. If you ever need anything from me, there I am. That's my cell number. I always tell parents, text me. It's the best way to get a hold of me. You wouldn't be the first. I probably have about 5 text messages from parents just from yesterday going through stuff. So I do a lot of stuff with parents and help you guys through whatever it is you need. So feel free anytime. Give me a holler. If you got a funny story to share, please share a funny story. I like funny stories. So yes, they're great. But other than that, thank you all very much. Remember, just leaving school is not the end, it's just the beginning. And it needs to be the beginning of something great, not something scary.